When I first welcomed Ethan into my home, I had no idea how much my life would change. At 42, after years of being unable to have children of my own, I decided to become a foster parent. My husband, David, was supportive, though I sometimes felt his enthusiasm wasn't quite as strong as mine. He was kind, gentle, and a man who believed in practicality more than emotions. He didn't always talk much about family, but when I expressed my wish to foster, he agreed. Maybe deep down, he thought it would fill a void in my heart that nothing else had. Ethan came to us on a rainy October afternoon. He was just 10 years old, small for his age, with messy dark hair and the kind of wide brown eyes that revealed both mischief and sadness. The social worker told me he had been moved around a few times already and had trouble trusting adults. I bent down to greet him, offering my hand, but he hesitated before finally slipping his little fingers into mine. That first touch told me everything. He was scared, uncertain, but also desperate for someone to hold on to. The early weeks were not easy. Ethan would barely speak, retreating to the bedroom we had prepared for him with posters of superheroes and shelves of books. I tried to encourage him with warm meals, bedtime stories, and small conversations, but he often responded with silence. David, on the other hand, barely interacted with him at first. He was cordial, but distant, as if Ethan were a guest rather than a child we were welcoming into our family. I tried not to resent him for it. I told myself he just needed time to adjust. Things slowly began to change one Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen making pancakes when I heard laughter from the living room. It was Ethan's laugh, a sound I hadn't heard before. I peeked in to see David kneeling on the carpet, holding his wrist out while Ethan examined something shiny. It was David's father's old wristwatch, an antique piece that had been passed down through generations. David almost never let anyone touch it, not even me. Yet here he was, letting Ethan turn it over in his hands. I froze in the doorway, watching as Ethan giggled at the way the gears inside ticked. David showed him how to wind it, speaking in a soft tone I hadn't heard in years. It was as though the watch had unlocked something between them, some invisible bridge I didn't know existed. For a moment, I was filled with joy. Finally, they were connecting. But at the same time, a strange pang of suspicion tugged at my chest. Why that watch? Why now? The watch itself had always carried weight in our marriage. David often said it was the only thing of real value left to him from his father, who had passed away when he was young. He kept it in a velvet box in his drawer, never wearing it unless there was a special occasion. I respected his attachment to it, but I also knew how possessive he was about it. Seeing Ethan handle it so freely unsettled me. Later that evening, when Ethan had gone to bed, I asked David about it. "You never let anyone touch that watch," I said. "Not even me." "Why, Ethan?" David shrugged, avoiding my eyes. He was curious. Kids like shiny things. I didn't think it mattered. But it did matter. I could feel it. I brushed it off, telling myself I was overthinking, yet the image of Ethan turning the watch over in his little hands stayed with me. Weeks passed, and Ethan grew more comfortable in the house. He began talking more, laughing more, even drawing pictures at the kitchen table while I cooked. I loved those moments, seeing him slowly let down his guard. But the watch kept reappearing. I would find him playing with it on the living room floor, sometimes even wearing it, though it hung loosely around his tiny wrist. Each time, David didn't seem to mind. He even encouraged it, showing Ethan how to listen for the ticking, how to polish the metal. One night, as I tucked Ethan in, he looked at me and whispered something that made my heart skip. "I like Dad's watch," he said softly. For a second, I thought I'd misheard him. Dad's watch. Not David's. Not Mr. Miller's. Dad's. I swallowed hard. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Ethan blinked at me with those wide brown eyes. "Dad's watch. He said it was mine too. Because he's my dad now, right?" I forced a smile and kissed his forehead, but my heart was pounding. David had never adopted Ethan. He was still our foster son. We hadn't even talked about adoption yet. Why would David tell him something like that? I didn't sleep much that night. My mind kept circling back to David's strange attachment to Ethan. The watch. The way he softened only around him. The way Ethan called him Dad, so naturally. Something didn't add up. The following weekend, I decided to do some cleaning. While David took Ethan to the park, I went through the drawers in our bedroom, dusting and organizing. When I reached the drawer where David kept the watch, I noticed something strange. The velvet box was missing. I frowned, checking the other drawers, but it wasn't there. Later that evening, I asked David about it. "Oh, I gave it to Ethan," he said casually, as if it were no big deal. "You what?" My voice cracked. "He loves it." I thought it would mean something to him. "It's just a watch, Sarah. Just a watch." I repeated, stunned. "David, that watch was everything to you. You wouldn't even let me hold it. And now you've given it to a 10-year-old.
His jaw tightened.
"You wouldn't understand." Those 3 words sliced through me like a knife. I wouldn't understand. Suddenly, all the little pieces started fitting together in ways I didn't want to imagine. Why had Ethan been so comfortable with David so quickly, despite his trust issues? Why did David treat him differently from the start? And why, of all things, the watch? The thought entered my mind before I could stop it. What if Ethan wasn't just our foster son? What if there was more to his connection with David than anyone had told me? That night, I sat on the couch long after they had both gone to bed, my hands trembling. I needed answers.